Hello friends, in our today's session we are going to discuss about skeletal system. So under this, let us discuss what is the skeleton first of all. What is this skeleton here? You can see a bony structure which resembles a human body. So this is basically a framework of bones that gives the shape and support to the body or to a human body. Or it's not only the human body, it can actually give shape and support to all the living organisms which are present here. And a very important aspect, it protects the delicate organs of our body. That you can see here, we have a skull which actually protects brain. We have lungs and heart which are protected by ribs, and our spinal cord is protected again by our this backbone. Okay, now moving ahead, there is something called as bone marrow. So you can see here we have a long bone, and inside this we have a jelly-like part or structure or some material is there. So these long bones which are hollow and they contain a jelly-like material that is called as a bone marrow. So bone marrow contains RBC, that is the red blood cells, and they store fat. Okay. Now parts of a skeleton. So first and foremost part of a skeleton is skull. Now this skull is basically the hardest part of the body. This is made up of 22 bones. Consists of two parts. One is the lower jaw and second one is upper jaw. Now lower jaw is made up of 8 bones and upper jaw is made up of 14 bones. Right? And in the similar way, this lower jaw is actually movable. As you can see here, it's a moving skull. And since this lower jaw is movable, it helps us to talk and eat. Now you can imagine, like, if even your lower jaw is immovable, you won't be able to talk or you won't be able to eat anything. Fine. Next part of a skeleton is rib cage. This rib cage consists of 12 different pairs of bones, and these are called as ribs. This protects lungs and heart. As you can see here, that this is our lung through which we breathe, and it swells and get contracts to maintain the proper flow of air. And in order to protect this, we have a rib cage. So this is how it actually looks like. You can see the left side of your screen. So under this rib cage, all the ribs are connected to upper part of the backbone. The first 7 pairs are directly connected to the breastbone, which is actually called as sternum. Then the ribs here are connected to sternum, and these are called as true ribs. Then next 3 ribs are connected to sternum through common connecting bones. And lowest 2 pairs are not connected to the sternum, and these are called as floating ribs. And last 5 pairs of ribs are called as false ribs. Okay. Then next part is the backbone. This backbone is shown as it is there in this figure. You can see on the left side of your screen. So backbone supports the body and protects the spinal cord. Also called as vertebral column and is made up of 33 small and hollow bones which are called as vertebrae. Okay, this helps us to bend and turn. Then we have limbs. So there are two pairs of limbs, and these are forelimbs, which we call them bones for arms, and hind limbs, which are there for legs. So you can see here, these are the figure of forelimbs, and this is the figure of hind limb. The forelimbs are connected to the backbone with the shoulder bone, and these hind limbs are connected to thigh bone or femur. This femur is the longest bone in the body, and this actually bears the weight of the body. Then, functions of a skeleton. You can see a dancing skeleton over here. This actually gives shape and support to our body. It provides protection to the soft and delicate organs. As you can see here, that brain is actually protected by skull, and our heart and lungs are actually protected by rib cage. Now, bones along with muscles allow movement of body parts. Now we have muscles. You can see here. So these are nothing but just fleshy tissues which are connected to the bones by strong fibers called as tendons. There are total 600 muscles in a human body. Yes, it's absolutely right. Now, types of muscles. We can have skeletal or voluntary muscles that lie between skin and bones, and these are the muscles which actually move at our own will. If we want to move our muscles, they can move. If we do not want to move our muscles, they cannot. These muscles are used in running, walking, eating, and laughing. You can see here one image here, like a skeleton is walking, and it is highlighting the muscle which are actually being used here. Then we have smooth or involuntary muscle. These are the walls of stomach and intestine, and they work on their own. We do not interfere in their own task. You can see here the stomach muscle, like whenever we have food or any eatable enters, it swells inside and then contracts inside and so on. Then we have cardiac muscles. Again, this is involuntary muscle, that the muscle that we cannot control actually. It works continuously since our birth. The contraction and expansion of cardiac muscles count one heartbeat. You can see here the cardiac muscle. We can see here this heart is beating, and one heartbeat is something about the contraction and expansion of the cardiac muscle. Now, how muscles work? Muscles work in pair by contraction and expansion. That's what we have just seen in case of our cardiac muscles. These contracted muscles become lighter and shorter. You can see here the muscles of triceps and biceps. So if the biceps relax, the triceps contract. And if the triceps relaxes, the bicep contracts. Now, these are the voluntary muscles that actually work together. Now we have something called as joints. These joints are the places where two bones are joined together. You can see here that these two bones are joined together. And at joints, bones are held together by a strong tissue called as ligament. You can see a black line over here, which is just broken now. That is a ligament tissue. Okay. In case some dislocation happens in your knee, that means that ligament has been broken down. Now there are two types of joint. One is movable joint, and the next one is immovable joint. So, immovable joint example includes skull, which consists of 22 bones, but only lower jaw is movable. And on the other hand, in movable joint, we have joint for knee, elbow, and so on. Then we have movable joints. So these are the joints which provide free movement to the body, and these are covered with something called as cartilage, which is actually a fluid here, and this prevents the rubbing of bones against each other. Right? You might have seen the cases of arthritis in your grandparents and some old people. It's because the fluid over here, which is present in case of cartilage at a young age, starts missing from there. And so, like if they, bones rub each other, it causes a great pain here. Now, there are four different types of joints. One is a ball and socket joint, one is a hinge joint, one is a pivot, and last one is gliding joint. Ball and socket joint. So this ball and socket joint allows bones to move in all directions. The example includes shoulder and hip joint. This is how your ball joint actually looks like, and this is how it actually works. And if we check the real scenario of a shoulder joint, you can see that this is how a shoulder joint actually works. Right? Then we have a hinge joint. This allows movement only back and forth, and the example is knee and elbow joint. So this is how this hinge joint looks like, and this is our knee. You can see here that it is allowed only to move for a certain direction. We have pivot joint, which allows semicircle, up and down, and turning movement. So you can see here that you can turn your head, you can make it up and down, or even you can make semicircles of your neck. So this neck joint is basically your pivot joint. Just remember this point. Then we have a gliding joint. This gliding joint allows the movement between connecting bones. And the example over here is wrist and ankle joint. You can see here how a wrist and ankle with this joint are moving in such a manner that they can reach only up to certain level. So thank you so much for all of you. Please let us know if you have any question, any doubt, any queries on that. Thank you so much and have a nice time ahead. Bye bye.